this computer. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Forge Coffee Break. This is the episode number 42. Welcome, thank you for joining today. And this is very much an open space for no general questions, any topics that you have in mind, what projects that you are working with, ideas, questions. You know, it's very open. And I usually start with you. If you have any projects or questions that you're working on that you'd like to ask or bring up. So yeah, please open your microphone and yeah, please share your ideas. Very informal coffee break. I was quickly talking to Ravi, he's calling from Denver, and I see Ricky and Blagoy, am I saying this right? And Balaji is also joining, so welcome. Any topics, questions, anything that you're working on? Please open your microphone.
I can.
Yep.
Augusto, I'm having that same issue with the model we spoke about. Few
same issue. What do you mean? Same.
The model aggregation. So getting the DWG.
Yes, yes. Let me bring this up. So you are trying to load RVTs into a InfraWorks model, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to aggregate using the aggregated viewer class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to aggregate the Revit files, DWG files, InfraWorks model using the IWM.
Mm-hmm.
And they all are at different coordinates and different scales. They come into different locations in the Forge viewer.
Yeah, so we did ask that on the support system, and I did ask my internal teams. So what I'm in contact right now, Ravi, and sorry I didn't reply to you sooner, but still I don't have something solid yet. But what I was discussing was with the InfraWorks team. What is the idea? What is the plan for them, right? Because as they explained to me, the models all the models needs to be on the coordinate system so that it could work. What they explained to me, and let me reread this here, is that yeah, so that it was not initially planned or expected to support that using models to aggregate like that. And I suspect there is something that is missing on the InfraWorks model that is not making that work. So I did contact the InfraWorks team. So on our side, what we have is we have different pipelines to translate different file formats. So let's say if you're translating RVT, so that will go through a specific pipeline of using Revit engine to do the translation. But if you're using InfraWorks, then there is a different process to translate InfraWorks models. And yeah, I'm just trying to get those two different teams to come to a conclusion, but I don't have an answer yet.
Okay. Yeah, and same thing will be for like DWG file that comes from Civil 3D or AutoCAD.
Yeah, when you translate Civil 3D drawings, are they coming with the correct coordinate system?
Yes. Okay. They have the correct coordinate system and latitude, longitude.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember that was a request as well some time ago, and glad it's working fine now. Yeah, I think I still have to check with the InfraWorks to get some confirmation there. I will ask them again today. I think the last message I got from them was Friday, and most of that team is in Europe, so it's still I have to ask them again.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure, yeah, problem. I'll wait for a response from you then.
Thank you.
Number of coffee breaks, it's growing. What number is it? Like 43, 42?
42.
Wow.
It's a long time, right?
Yeah.
If you think about bi-weekly, it's almost 80 weeks. Yeah, so it's a lot. And I enjoy keeping the numbers, so yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. How's it going? Any questions? Anything that we can help you out with?
Yeah, I was just discussing with Ravi about the aggregated models when we have coordinate systems, but no, it's still some work to do on that side. Any other questions? or topics?
I'm trying to do some geometry analysis using the SVF to file format on Revit models, and I did see you come out with that new API for model properties, and I found that the only geometry data that was indexed was the bounding box. So I was wondering, is there also a headless way to grab that geometry data without having to say load the whole Forge model in a browser or something?
Let me see if I get this right. You already know about the model properties, and but the thing is that the only property available is the bounding box, and you need something else.
Yeah, I want the more specific geometry data itself, specifically the mesh data.
Okay. Last week we had the model properties team presenting what they did. Were you here last week? Last time, 2 weeks ago?
No, I wasn't here last time.
Okay. So they did a quick presentation. For this one, I can definitely send them the recording. So what I would suggest you to do now is, as we are recording this, and I can definitely share that with them, is to explain what you're looking for, and I can forward them that information. Because if the information you want is not there, we probably have to investigate if we can add it and how complicated it will be to add that information. So let me give you, a moment to explain what we're looking for, and I will definitely share the recording with them. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to do some geometry analysis on the model itself. And I think and right now my solution is to do that geometry analysis in Revit, but I think it would be good to leverage the SVF representation rather than trying to just send it through Revit and have that calculated. And right now it's hard to extract that geometry data in kind of in a meaningful fashion, since I'm trying to do it on the server side rather than the client side. So that data kind of has to go through a headless viewer, which seems to be kind of supported, but not really. So I think having it being associated with the model properties, which is just indexing all this data, would be something good for me at least, that in terms of analyzing these models on the server side.
And so you are looking for some additional geometry. What is the workflow, and what is the, is there a specific property that you were looking for? Because you mentioned bounding box, and when you do the analysis on the geometry using Revit, what is the specific? Can you share anything about that?
The specific geometry is leveraging the solid geometry of rooms, and I'm trying to analyze these rooms and basically try to associate family instances and other elements that are geometrically inside that room with that room, and try to form a tree like that. So you have a tree of levels of rooms, and the family instances would be associated with those rooms. And to do that, you need to do some geometry analysis on those rooms and see what's inside of them. So I'm mostly doing that in Revit right now, but it would be nice to be able to do that by leveraging Forge.
So you are trying to get elements or whatever is inside the room?
Yes.
Okay. Did you do that before? I'm trying to remember. I think that's not unusual question. Trying to think.
No, I think it's going more towards the use of the viewer itself to do that part of it. So I was looking if any of our viewer experts were around. I think someone like Peter or Michael actually might point us out in the right direction quicker. Yeah, I think there is ways through the viewer. I think it's not even going through model properties. It's more about into the visualization part, right?
Yeah, so we did start investigating how to find if a specific element is inside the room before. The challenge is that when the room does not have a regular geometry, like, so imagine like a U shape for a room, right? And if the geometry that you're trying to check is inside the U, if you do a bounding box, that will not do the trick, right? The tandem team found a solution for that using the viewer as well. No, what I'm trying to think is that if they have that as an extension or not, because at some point, I don't know. I have to think if that piece of code used in tandem is part of the generic viewer, or if it's just tandem specific. But Rick, right? So I think that can definitely come from model properties. But if what we're looking for is if a room is inside, sorry, if a family is inside a room, then that may be something else that we can help. Let me check what is the status on the tandem API for that one, if they have anything that is part of the generic viewer. Michael, I think that when you were talking, Jaime, Michael was working closely with tandem, but he's offline today. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Rick. Good explanation. I'll definitely forward that to the model properties team, because if that's available on the model properties, we can do that on the server side. We don't need the client side for that, right? So that is a benefit there. Cool, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, any other questions, topics?
I have a question around design automation. Balaji here. So we are trying to use design automation to read BIM 360 docs file and run the design automation add-in on top of it, and store the JSON in, let's say, Azure blob storage. So overall, I think the process, we found few blogs and documentation around it. So it looks straightforward. So we were able to get the URL, the bucket URL for the Revit file from BIM 360 and provide it as an input with a token, so that design automation is able to download it. The issue that we are running into is when it downloads and when it tries to open. So for most of our models, it is throwing the model corrupt exception. So we are still, yet to spend a bunch of time on it to see how it works on local. But when we did test it with Postman, with design automation, so a lot of models are, running into this model corrupt exception. So just wanted to see if this is a common error, if I can get a quick help.
So you can make it work for some models, but not all models, or are you getting that error message for all models?
So some of the models worked. Those were like just 2-3 of them, but most of them are throwing the same error. So I tested, let's say, 15 of them. I got the error for 13 of them.
Yeah, I'm asking to see if it's everything or just a few of them, to understand that if this is something on your code or something that, I mean, because if it's not working at all, then no, something is wrong there. But if it's working for a few of them, then maybe there's something else, right? So what happens in some cases is that BIM 360 will store Revit files as zip files instead of Revit files. And that happens when you have a work shared environment. Is that the case?
Yeah, they are work shared, like cloud work shared.
Yeah. So in that case, it's not a Revit file that we keep in BIM 360. We keep a zip file instead. Okay, so let me show you something. There's a blog post. Actually, I think we discussed it a few times before, but Michael did a blog post about that here, right? So he's showing that when you have such a model in BIM 360, there is it's a zip And the way to extract an individual file from that zip, or to extract the whole thing if you want, right? So you have to decide is to download the zip header and then decide which file to download. But if you're running design automation, you likely need the whole zip, right? So probably the first step you have to do inside design automation is to unzip it. So you can open the root file inside that zip. And you can do that using design automation engine to unzip that for you, or you can unzip on your code as well, right? But if you're using design automation to unzip for you, you have to define at the beginning saying that the activity is defined as a zip. But this summary, this post here explains some of the zip logic for Bin360 and Revit files.
Okay.
Okay, so you're probably getting the corrupted because Revit's trying to open the zip file as a Revit file, which will not work.
Got it. Got it. So if it's gonna unzip, maybe we'll have more than one model. So how will design automation work? So,
yeah, so it's a work shared model, right? That's why you have multiple files. You see, if it's a work shared, you probably have multiple disciplines inside your project, right? So it's not one Revit file that represents the project. You probably have the main and linked files.
right.
So in that case, you probably have to open the main file, and all the linked files will open up with that because Revit understands linked files.
Oh, got it. Sorry. Yeah.
Correct?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Interesting topic. Yeah. This was a interesting learning that we had, that it's keeping as a zip, not as a Revit file. So you always have to keep that in mind.
Sure.
Thank you, Balaji.
And just to follow up on that, as in the Revit engine, I think I worked on design automation a couple of years back. So then if we mention an engine to work with for the add-in, it used to upgrade the files as well. In the logs, it used to show that your Revit file is being upgraded to the engine that it's running, that we mentioned. But I was not seeing those logs anymore. So just wanted to check if anything changed around it. Is it okay if I put the latest engine always while I call the work item? Even if for the earlier Revit files.
Yeah. So if you use the latest version on the design automation, it will always upgrade your models, right? That's how Revit works. But I think the question for you is if you want to do that, right? If you want to upgrade to the latest version.
So for us, the output is we just want to understand or get the properties of the model out. So we are not going to use the model which is upgraded or save it back.
Okay, so yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it's safe to use the latest version. It will always upgrade. The only thing to consider is that the upgrade process may take some time. So if it's a very large model and you're extracting properties, and that the process to extract properties takes, I don't know, 5 minutes, right? It may take you, I don't know, a few more minutes to upgrade the model. So you're paying for that. That's the only concern there. But feature-wise, there is no problem. It's more like on the consumption side, right? If you don't want to waste design automation time upgrading models if you don't need that. And the way to check for the version is Revit version. Yeah. So if you look at the manifest, there is an RVT version on the manifest, like this here. And that should give you, that should show you, help you decide the version that you want to open the model or not.
Got it. Yeah, I saw this saw this blog. Yes.
Yeah. So look
Does
into the
that-
manifest. Yeah. And you can decide which design automation version you want to run. So that will save you some time. But the downside is that you need different versions of your activity, one for each version. The interesting point is that you can use the same bundle because if you're doing some basic stuff, the .NET code is compatible, but you need different activities for each Revit version, right? To avoid migrating the files.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, I did refer this blog. I think I was trying to get the version, but most of our files were uploaded before that November 21 timeline.
Mhm.
So I was not getting the version. So that's it. But yeah, I think this is a good input. Thanks for sharing this.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or topics? I think I did mention last time that we are having some price changes on the Forge, right? It may affect you, it may not, depending if you're using one of the paid APIs. But if you're connected to BIM 360, it does not affect you, or your application, right? But if you're using translations or design automation or reality capture, then there is a price change there. Let's say if you're using Revit or Navis, it doesn't affect at all, but IFC is changing, right? And also design automation all the engines will be 6 per hour instead of, I think AutoCAD was 4 per hour. 4, yeah, now it's 6. And yeah, that may affect you, it may not. So you have to review your workflows. If you're connecting to BIM 360, it doesn't affect at all. But I think I did mention that. So just making sure that this is noted here.
I actually just learned from a call that I was here before about the 0.5 tokens for the complex models. I thought for some reason that it stayed the same as 1.5 cloud credits for that complex translation, but I guess it just didn't change, right? It's the same.
Yeah. Well, the nominal cost is the same, but as we are changing our currency, it changes a bit. Actually,
yeah.
Let me take advantage that Silvio is here and he knows a lot about that. Let me bring him to the spot.
Yeah, that's why I was listening. Yes, that's right. That's the change. So for complex models there is no change, but for simple models there is a change. That's the big difference. And the largest one is the IFC now is a complex model. It's a complex translation. It was a simple one, now it's a complex translation. That makes a lot of difference.
Yeah, if you have this kind of workflow on your application, yeah, take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you, Silvio. Thank you, Jaime.
So, quick question. For design automation, the processing hour is like across models. Like if we process 10 models and it's going to take, let's say, 2 hours, the charges will be based on 2 hours, 2 processing hours.
Yeah, so it's measured by I believe by the millisecond, right? So if you have 10 models that take 10 minutes each, that will be 100 minutes, right?
Okay, got it. So it's across model, sure.
Yeah, so you pay by the hour. If you have to process 1,000 models, that takes 1 minute each, right? So that will be 1,000 minutes. So it's all yeah. The individual work items are completely independent from each other, and we're just measuring those times. And once we have a number of hours, that will go into the your analytics dashboard inside the Forge developer portal. Thank you. Yeah.
And also
Thank
the
you.
charge will only appear once it reaches a full cloud credit, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, over time that should not make that much difference, but yeah, it will only show on the developer portal once you reach 1 full credit. I'm not sure how that will be now with this new, what's the name? Token Flex. No, what's the name? Token Flex, yeah.
Oh, you don't know
Because,
that?
yeah.
No.
Yeah, because the number is a bit
I'm
different
just
now. No, yeah, the
Yeah.
number is a bit different.
It's flex tokens.
Flex tokens. I keep confusing the names because it's funny.
I can tell why.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? We're almost at the end of our time of the coffee break. Any last questions?
Any updates on getting design automation linked up with cloud collaboration?
Cloud collaboration for Revit, right? And
Yeah.
I believe that tomorrow we have a dev day. Oh, that's another thing that I should remind you of. We have a dev days tomorrow, and you can register for that. And we'll be talking about these and many other things. The collaboration is something that we are working on and is right now in private beta. So soon it will moving out of private beta, and but yeah, we are actively working on that. This is our #1 priority, and yeah, it's private beta right now.
All right, it's good to hear.
Yeah, and private beta, it means that we have just a few people using it, and we're working very closely. So the meaning of private beta is that we need very close feedback. So that's why it's private in a way that we are talking to them all the time. So it requires a lot of effort from us and from a few customers, right? So that's why we're reviewing and making sure that it's all good. And soon we'll move to hopefully, right? Of course, it's still beta. We never know what's happening in the future, but we'll move to production soon.
Yeah,
All
I'll be
right.
keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, and we have a dev days tomorrow. That should be interesting. That's what we mentioned on the dev day presentation. Okay, so with that, let me share again. Our next coffee break will be again same link, same time in 2 weeks, March 23rd. And see you there. Thank you very much for joining today. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you for the great questions and discussions, and see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.